Welcome. This is a video guide to set up Hadoop. I'm going to use this document throughout my video, which you'll find in support materials along with this lesson. I've made this document so as to make a step-by-step guide on how Hadoop installation can be done. In this video, I'm just following all the steps in the document and showing you how it works. There's always a possibility that you may get stuck with a new problem when you try to do it, as there are so many different conditions. In that case, I would suggest you that you search the internet to seek help and resolve the problem and carry on from the point you left in the document. Although I have considered all the problems which I know of while making the document, but there can be many. Give yourself a little time if you are starting with installation right now. Considering that you are new, and if you are all lucky and you do not get stuck anywhere, it would take somewhere around 2 to 3 hours to set it up. So spare some time. If you get stuck, it can take days to resolve depending upon the problem you are stuck with. It is common for a newbie to get stuck for days with the installation. But in a way, it is good as you can learn so much. So don't be disappointed if you get stuck. But that is why I have made this document that should help you to go ahead and not make the common mistakes. So here are the versions of the components I'm using. I'm installing Hadoop 1.2.1 on Ubuntu LTS 12.04, and Ubuntu LTS 12.04 would be running on a virtual machine. All the components used are license free except for Windows, and I find this is the easiest way to set up Hadoop. I've tried Cygwin on Windows, and all the examples you would see in the course would be me running on Hadoop on Cygwin. Later, when I uninstalled Cygwin and tried to reinstall while making this video, I ran into some problems with OpenSSH, and I'm still in process of resolving it. So this is pretty much I recommend. Running Ubuntu on top of Windows and Hadoop on it is the simplest way to go forward. Running on Linux gives you a feel of the environment on a practical setup rather than Cygwin on Windows. So I highly recommend this approach. So at this point, I would recommend to download Oracle Virtual Machine and Ubuntu ISO image 64-bit. So step 1 is to install Oracle Virtual Machine. I've already installed it. It is fairly simple. If you get stuck somewhere, just search for a solution on the net. I would start with Ubuntu installation on the VM. I'll just type in Ubuntu so it picks it up, and then I'll type the name base. I'll bump the RAM up to 2 GB. I would be constantly referring to the screenshot just to make sure that the document is complete and ready. So let me see where I am. Okay. I have selected dynamic drive and would bump it up to 20 GB. Then you need to go to settings and then click on storage and then add CD drive, which would point to the Ubuntu ISO you have downloaded. Next, let me see to which screenshot have I moved up to. Okay, this is where we are. Okay, all in the settings is good. I'll click OK. I'll now start the virtual machine. You would get a few prompts regarding keyboard and mouse controls. Just read them for information and click OK. It would start. I'll just see if everything is mentioned in the document. Okay, now this is the thing. If you are installing VirtualBox for the first time, it may happen so that it may throw out some error of some regards like 64-bit support or VTX or AMD support something. If so, it means that the BIOS configuration do not support virtual machine to run. So in that case, you just need to do these simple steps. Just restart your computer and go to BIOS and do the following steps. Make sure you write these steps on a piece of paper, as you won't be able to access this document while you do so. Next, if it doesn't give you that problem or you have already resolved the problem, you would get this screen. Go ahead and install Ubuntu. Yes, then click continue. Then comes this screen asking to erase the disk and install Ubuntu. Go ahead, click continue, and all your data would be formatted. Just kidding, it would just erase and reformat the dynamic disk we've allocated. So now you would come to this screen and select where you live. Here, put in the details. Okay, my bad. I forgot to put in my password. Okay, now let's wait for this to get finished. Till that time, I would send this document to myself on the mail so that I can access it on Ubuntu as well. It would take a little time to install, so I would just speed up the video a little. Okay, now the installation is complete and you can click on restart the computer. The first thing I'll do is to download the document. You can of course download it from the site, but I need to share it through my mail. So here's my document. I'll just open a terminal. And lock it to the launch bar. Now I'll download Hadoop installation package from Apache. I've taken my steps from the documentations of Hadoop itself. So if you get stuck somewhere, refer to this link. Go to stable release. And download. Look for Hadoop 1.2.1. Then download the one ending with .tar.gz. So next step says that make a folder Hadoop in home directory. You can make your own, but I would suggest you to stick to this one so that the remainder of the document would be really easy for you to use. You would just need to copy and paste most of the stuff. We'll have to wait till this downloads. I'll speed up the video a little. Okay, I just remembered that we need to download Jdk and Jre as well, so I would start their download as well. Accept the license agreement and download the one ending with tar.gz for Linux 64-bit. Next, download the Jre as well. Look for 64-bit ending with tar.gz. And make sure that you agree to the license as well. So all is getting downloaded, and at this point I'll speed up the video. Okay, now Hadoop installation files have been downloaded. Now the next step says to copy the tar.gz file to the new folder we have created. Now I'll move to that folder. And I see the tar file. Now I'll just untar it using the command in the document. Just copy and paste it. A little correction. We'll look in the folder and you'll see many folders inside it. Now let us look at the next step in the document. You can check if the Java is already installed on Ubuntu. Mine is a fresh install, so it doesn't have it. If you have something earlier than Java 7 and you want to get rid of it, then you can do so by following the commands I have mentioned in the document. If you do not have Java and doing a fresh install like me, just follow the steps in the document. We'll make the folder where we would install Java. So just copy the command and paste it. Just put in your password. Next step is to copy the tar files to the newly created folder. We'll move to the download folder. So we are waiting for Jdk and Jre to get downloaded. Okay, now Jre is done. I'll just copy paste the command to move the Jre to the folder. Okay, now done. Now we'll wait for the Jdk to download. Okay, now Jdk is almost done. Now again I'll copy paste the command to move Jdk. Now we have to move to the Java folder, copy paste. Then untar Jdk. Then untar Jre. Now we would edit profile and put Java home and Hadoop install variables there and add them to the path. Then next we do the following steps to let Linux know where we have stored Java. You can copy paste the commands if you have the same Java version and Java folder as I have created. If not, you can edit it on a notepad and then file them one by one. Going to the second one. We would just refresh the profile to take up the changes we have done. Now java-version should work. We should be able to echo the Java home variable. And here we see. Now let us move to the next. Step. Oh yes, congratulations. Now you have installed Hadoop in standalone mode. This mode is a good way to learn. You can do all your programmings here in this mode and practice programming on Hadoop. Let us try to run an example. I'll stick to the document and show how it works. So we'll make a directory first, and then I would run an example. And yes, it works. We'll just look at the output. It shows that it has run successfully. Standalone mode is a good mode to practice programming and learn Hadoop. But in this video, I would go ahead and show installation in Sudo distributed mode as well. For that, we need to install SSH. Copy paste the first line. Okay, now we need to edit the configuration files. First is core site.xml. Then hdfs site.xml. Then mapred site.xml. And now we would change the hadoop-env.sh, which has all the environmental variables, and set up Java home there. So in this file, there are a number of attributes that Hadoop uses. We'll just put in our path of Java home here at the Java home variable. Make sure that hash symbol is not there to uncomment the line. As a next step, we would need to set up a password-less SSH. The following steps are straight away taken out from the Hadoop documentation. And then when you do SSH localhost, it should not prompt you for a password. I'll do it one more time. And so it doesn't ask for any password. And so we are getting close to getting things done. Next, we format the name node. Then start -all.sh. This would start the name node, the data node, the secondary name node, then the job tracker, and lastly the task tracker. Then let us run an example to see if it has been successfully set up. And so it has started successfully. Let me launch the UI where you can see. So here is name nodes UI, and this is job trackers UI. And you can see in the progress as well. So congratulations if you have reached till this point. We can print the output. Now we would just do a stop-all.sh. Hope this video was in help. Till we meet next, happy coding.